Hello, this is Patricia Fitzgerald, and I'm here with Brandon Fouche. He's a dog rehabilitation expert, which is so amazing because, as we know, dogs and people have an amazing bond, and we read about the health benefits of dogs. It just seems like we're in the culture of the dog right now.
Absolutely.
And people think they're so cute, and they are, and yet millions of dogs are dying in shelters. That's the reality. And so many well-meaning owners get overwhelmed with dog behavior when good dogs have some challenging behavior, and a lot of dog guardians don't know how to handle that. So fortunately here in Los Angeles we have what's often called LA's miracle walker, Brandon Fouche.
Yes.
So glad that we can meet today and
Yeah, I'm happy to be
hear
here.
about all of your wonderful insights to help our dogs and humans coexist peacefully.
Exactly. When good dogs go bad.
Exactly. But they seem to go good here at Brandon Fouche's Rehabilitation Center.
Absolutely.
I can't help but notice anytime I visit you, Brandon, I pull up and there are dozens of dogs behind us. I don't hear barking.
Right.
And when I see them, they seem to be happy and in harmony, and a lot of them are here because of aggression issues, but they seem to be pretty darn happy and peaceful.
Yeah.
Yet when I go to boarding facilities or rescue facilities or shelters, I hear a lot of the dogs barking and they seem stressed. They don't seem so stressed here.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. We tend to look at aggression as though it's the boogeyman. Okay? And aggression is really the highest form of communication for dogs. It may not be the best, but it's completely understood in the animal world. And so what the human has to understand is that aggression is really a dog that's acting out of stress, frustration, and that's usually what we put on them, unknowingly. And so we respond to the result of the aggression, the effects of it. And that's what keeps us from socializing our dogs, because we don't understand it.
Right.
We cannot possibly believe that we are the culprit that produced this negative behavior in our dogs when our purpose is to show love and affection.
Seems like a lot of the simple, fun things we do with our dogs that seem innocent. I know I represent kind of every dog owner in that I made a lot of mistakes when I first rescued dogs years ago because I wanted to give them all the cute, cuddly things because I felt so sorry for them. They were abused, abandoned, etc. And then within a few weeks, I saw signs of aggression. I panicked. I lived on eggshells. I didn't want the dogs taken away, and I obsessed and tried to learn about dog psychology, and fortunately I found your work, which has been so helpful. Are there some things that we do, in the spirit of, oh, they're so cute, or in the spirit of trying to see them what we think, might be happy, which maybe just be excitement, but are there some things that we do that could be triggering aggressive behavior without us realizing it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Mostly everything that we do to interact with our dogs is actually leading into the areas that produce the very behavior that we don't want. And that's because from the beginning of working with dogs, from the very beginning when dogs were actually pulled from wolves and became part of our family life, we never stopped talking to the predatory instinct within the dog. And so, which is just one attribute, okay? And so, because we practice playing ball and chase and giving them toys and things to do with their mouth, okay, that is actually related to killing, to survival, for food, that we are actually producing a behavior in them that is really only related to food. But because food is not involved, in other words, when they chase something to kill it, it's to satisfy the circle of life. But when we take an inanimate object, like a ball, and throw it, and it doesn't satisfy the stomach, then it turns into a neurotic behavior. And that's why dogs can, after chasing a ball or a frisbee or a stick, can very easily transfer that aggression to a skateboarder or a bicyclist or even a jogger, because it's really simply something that's moving in the opposite direction that we taught them to go after, which is not normal.
That's so interesting because obviously we see so many toys, and the whole idea of fetch is so cute and we think they're happy, but I realized from learning from you they're excited, and I realized with my own dogs and the various fosters we've had in our home, by following your guidance to not have the toys and to not have the fetch, they seem to accept a new dog into the home a lot easier. They're a lot calmer, yet they're still very happy and they're not complaining about not getting toys.
Yeah, because happiness can mean different things to different people just as it can mean to different dogs, right? A person can give you things that they think you might like and that you want, but doesn't necessarily make you happy. But if someone gives you the things that you need, that's much more satisfying, right? So our relationship with our dog is based on giving them what we think they want, which is only creating more of the neurotic behavior because they're not actually getting what they need, which is the leadership.
Right. That's such an important point because when we have children, of course, we want to give them what they need. So we know they don't need a lot of candy, but they want a lot of candy, and they'll try to manipulate for the candy. But, you know, we have enough information about what children need, so hopefully most people aren't giving their kids too much candy.
Right.
However, it seems like well-meaning dog owners do not have the information about what their dogs need. So by giving them what they want, they don't realize they're creating the behavior similar. If you give your kid a lot of sugar, usually that behavior is not good.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is something that has never been taught to people. We've never been taught how to be a leader from the concept of the way nature intended dogs to process information. And so all of the things that we do come out of the thought of human beings. And then we wonder why we're not able to communicate properly. You know, in order to relate to a person, in order for me to relate to you, I have to look at things from your perspective. Okay? So if we're going to have a better relationship with our dogs, then we're going to have to look at things from their perspective. And for so many years, we've only looked at things from our perspective. Okay?
Right.
And that's our will.
Right.
Never understanding or knowing how to look at things from the perspective of the dog. And what happens is, when we do this over and over again, the dog begins to give us a deaf ear.
Right.
Because we don't understand, and they begin to do what they want, what they feel, emotionally, hormonally. And that's the feeling that we're placing in them.
Because we're not being a strong leader?
Because we're not being a strong leader, because we don't understand them, because we can't possibly believe that they can understand us in the way that we would like for them to. So we always look at them and talk to them like we do children, little babies, goo-goo gaga type things, right?
Right.
We do things to children when they're really, really young to make them excited. We make noises that make them move, right? And so we apply that same type of child psychology on our dogs. But when they hear that, in their mind they think, how do I address the needs of this situation? And from a hierarchy standpoint, they look at us as being weak, submissive. And this emboldens them to become assertive and dominant over us because we're acting like subordinates.
That's so interesting. And I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable being what a strong leader needs to be, meaning they feel like, oh, but the dog wants this, or oh, but he's so cute when he does that.
Right.
And being a good leader is not about acting out of anger or reacting. It's really about being proactive and being strong in your direction, right, to the dog, so they feel the love. Just like a child, I know with a lot of kids I know, they want to kind of press the limits of parents always. It's born in them. But ultimately, a child feels loved when there are boundaries.
Absolutely.
Even though they won't let you know that, of course. That's okay. And a dog, I've noticed with my own dogs that I allowed neurotic behavior to develop because I felt sorry for them. So I had to learn the hard way. Many books, lots of money, lots of stress later. However, fortunately, I've been able to help, disseminate this information to help other dog owners, which is satisfying. But I can see how you make them neurotic because you're giving them missed signals without knowing it.
Absolutely. Dogs are definitely looking for leadership. Their life is based on hierarchy. This is what nature put in them, right? And I can understand why people have a difficulty in communicating from a concept of leadership because it requires that you take control of your life, right? And so it makes us straighten up. And I believe that's why dogs are placed in our lives, because it's the closest thing to nature. It's the closest thing to bringing us back to nature. And so in order for us to give them that love, we're going to have to become more of leaders in order to straighten the dog out and to straighten ourselves out. I believe that a lot of people who may have problems in their life, they have people that they love that actually make them strong enough to make a change.
Right.
And I believe that if people love their dogs, like they say they do and like we hear about and we see, then if they're given concrete information that they can stand on, that's truthful, that they will make the change to become a leader, if not for themselves, for the dog. And inadvertently they will become what we need to become for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned from you that being a strong leader does not mean that you've taught your dog to sit down or heel.
Right.
They are tricks, right?
Absolutely.
Difference is being a trainer or having a trained dog is different than being a leader, right?
Yes, we've always had a very robotic type of communication with our dog. Sit, stay, come, heel, down. And in all my years of working with dogs, I never met a dog that didn't know how to do those things. They come here knowing how to do it, but they do it for a different hormonal reason. In other words, nature tells a dog to lie down for one reason only, because you're tired, you're resting. And when we tell our dogs to do that, it's not for that reason. We're trying to control other behaviors. Okay? So there is a miscommunication going on there. Training is forcing a dog to do something they already know how to do, but would be doing for a different reason. We don't need to train our dogs.
That is a radical thought for the dog guardian and training community. And I look for results, and quite honestly, the reason I started listening to you is because I know of the results you get with severely aggressive dogs. I go, I'm going to listen to this guy.
Okay.
And then the more I hear what you say, although I resisted at the beginning, no toys, no fetch, the commands, etc. I've seen the difference in dogs, my own dogs, foster dogs in our home, dogs that I know via rescue groups and volunteer organizations. The results are real, even though we have to let go of, seeing that cute response in order to see a healthier, balanced dog, which is a way better feeling than just a cute response.
Well, I want to clarify something. When we have dogs that have aggressive tendencies, okay, to other people or to other dogs, that means that somewhere down the line during the fear imprint period or the socialization period, they have misinterpreted the intentions of what we're doing. Okay? So they're confused. And we don't want to do things to bring out the predatory side in that mind. Mm-hmm. Now, dogs that have no aggressive tendencies, you can have a ball or a frisbee or a rope. Now, that dog may be a subordinate dog. Now, subordinate dogs can turn to become assertive and dominant, but they may never become aggressive. But if you have an alpha or a beta or even a runt that misinterpret our intentions, that have some aggressive tendencies, it can turn into aggression. And so because they are already aggressive, we don't want to do things that make them use their mouth to solve problems.
Okay. How about the idea that when a dog is home alone and someone's at work, they give them the Kong toy, the chew toy, and they say that keeps them busy. Is that keeping them busy, or is that building up frustration?
That may be keeping them busy. I call them educational toys. You can take a Kong and put something inside and it'll keep them busy using their mouth to solve that problem, which is actually related to food.
Right.
So that's
exactly.
okay.
Right, okay.
But when you are giving them stuffed animals that look like little animals that have squeaks in them, then what is the education that we are teaching them at that point? That killing is what you do.
Right.
And so the little Pomeranian that just moved in next door that makes little squeaky noises, when it gets out and your dog grabs him, bites him, shakes him and kill him, and then we say he's never done anything like that before, well, he's been practicing all this time. So we have to be careful. If we were to humanize this Let's say we give a child a toy gun to play with, and everyone in the house plays the part of being shot. And then one day he goes into his father's drawer and gets his real gun and shoots someone, and now we want to sit down and tell him that guns are terrible.
That's a great analogy. So, considering I represent the naive dog owner who made all the mistakes, would you advise when people bring a dog home that they've just adopted or rescued that they wait for a period of time before even thinking of introducing toys and balls, just to really assess the behavior and let the dog, acclimate to the home and the other dogs?
Right. There is no difference when the relationship that you have with a dog is just like having a relationship with a person. If in the beginning we take our time, very social-like, and we don't become too excited about things and we make the right decisions and judgments, it makes for a better relationship. If we bring our dogs home and we begin with the excitement, with the toys, with the energy, with the hyper love and affection and sleeping in bed and doing all of these things, we are producing a hormone within our dog that we are telling them to connect to. We're telling them that happiness and love and affection means excitement. And it doesn't. Excitement means excitement. But excitement was related to the hunt, okay? Which is all related to the toys and the chewing and the biting. So we don't want to do that. We want to be leaders for our dogs. If what we want in the end, if we look down that rabbit hole, at the end of that hole, if what we want is a nice, calm dog, then that's what we need to be doing from day one. Leadership.
Are there any specific leadership guidelines that you would have for either a first-time dog owner or someone who's realized that they may have overstimulated their dog and they want to take leadership back? Are there any baby steps one could take to understand that leadership role?
Well, yeah, there are many baby steps. I usually like to ask a person, first of all, why do you want a dog? What is your purpose? And sometimes that's the key to solving all of their problems. If they want a dog because they want to do agility courses and all of these exciting things, then that reason for getting that dog is what you're going to imprint on that dog. And that's what you will end up having. So we have to be careful with that. If we want a nice, calm dog, then we need to first start off by showing the dog, this is where you sleep, this is where you eat, this is where you eliminate. This is how we ride in the car. More education with no excitement involved. We need to let them know what we don't like. Okay? That's more important than what we do like. What is off limits is more important than what they can have. So dogs are very territorial. So they need to know how to behave in the territory that you have created for them. And if that territory requires that the dog is calm, then that's what we need to teach them first. How to control them emotionally. We have never been taught that dogs need to be controlled emotionally. We have never been taught that mental energy is more draining than physical energy. It's always been exercise first. And in my many years of studying dogs that run the street, exercise is not the number one thing. I mean, if I see a dog in front of my place today, tomorrow he's not going to be in Santa Monica, and the next day in Hollywood or down in Burbank. He's only going to be 2 or 3 blocks away. So how can exercise be the most important thing? Exercise makes a dog a better athlete, just like with us, right? So it's not exercise. It's leadership first. It's mental energy to learn how to drain our dogs mentally, because if we drain them mentally, then we drain them physically. As a human, if we're mentally stressed, we're physically stressed. And then love and affection. But the funny thing is, if you do the first two, that is a representation of love and affection for a dog. Because in a pack, the leader is not taking them to Disneyland or handing out treats. They are hardwired to understand that when they are with a strong leader, then that means love, that means happiness, that means security. And if we were to humanize this, and I believe that we should humanize things because we are humans, but we must take a deeper approach to this from the psychology of the dog's mind and say that if we humanize this, what do we want from our dog? We want our dog to feel secure. If we're with a human being in our life, we want to feel secure more than we want things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we should be thinking. We're going to have a paradigm shift in our thinking to say, you know, we've been looking at dogs from a very elementary point of view. A sit, stay, come, and heel. And that's it. When they are much, much more than that. To me personally, they're like superheroes because they possess those qualities. They can smell body parts underwater. They can track you for miles. They can tell if you're having a seizure or a heart attack, right?
Right.
So if we've got a creature that has that ability, then why are we trying to teach it how to sit?
That reminds me of, I love the slogan on the back of your t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
A dog's mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yes.
Yeah, because what you're saying, it seems like every other week we're learning about an amazing attribute of a dog. There was a dog in Italy in the news recently whose owner died, and the owner went to Catholic Mass every day.
Right.
And then the owner died, and the dog still goes to Mass every day at the same time, and the
Yes.
priest lets him stay there, and the community takes care of them. And we hear about dogs helping people with diabetes. And
Yes.
right. And instead we're sometimes wasting their mind, not knowing how to enhance what their attributes are.
Yeah, and it's because we're exercising our will. We're not thinking about the will of the dog. And I really, truly feel blessed being in the presence of my dogs because they have taught me to be a better person. They have taught me to look in the mirror and not look with my eyes because they show limitations, but to look with my heart and find out things that are already there. These hormonal feelings that we have are already here. If the right person comes along, or sometimes if the right dog with another dog comes along, they can produce that hormone that causes balance. And this is what we should be looking for in people and in dogs.
So Brandon, it's always so enlightening to be with you. I can never learn enough. And being a good leader is so important. And what I realize is that when I see dogs excited, I can get excited, or that's cute.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize when I see dogs together living in harmony, I feel deeply happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know right behind us there are dozens of dogs that were labeled severely dog aggressive. Some dogs have been in big trouble. Some dogs would have been put down. Some dogs have attacked people. And guess what? They're not so aggressive and they're living in harmony.
Exactly.
So let's go pay them a visit.
All right. Big dogs.
Perfect.
Scooby.
Aww.
Scooby-Doo.
Aww.
Annalise.
So beautiful. Aww, so beautiful. So these are the dogs that were considered dog aggressive?
Oh yeah.
They look pretty happy to
dog
me.
Here, dog aggressive, people aggressive, dog aggressive, dog aggressive, dog aggressive, dog aggressive. Everyone here is dog aggressive.
And why are they so friendly and happy and not appearing to be dog aggressive?
Well, whenever we can reduce the stress level in a dog, they can begin to think in a balanced way. Then we introduce them to stimulant that they would before would be stressed about.
So I'm standing here in the midst of aggressive dogs who are labeled troublemakers, and it's pretty awesome to be around these dogs, these dangerous dogs. They don't seem so dangerous. They seem so calm and happy, and what a beautiful thing to just be here among dogs whose lives have been saved thanks to Brandon and understanding the power of the pack. I mean, it's such an honor to be here. It's kind of very emotional for me because I love seeing dogs happy and knowing that where they could have been or not could have been, right? They're alive and well thanks to Brandon Fouche, and I just hope that more and more people learn about
The Fouche
these
way.
ways. The Fouche way, exactly.
That's right.
That's the way. The Fouche way. Wow, that was magical. Just to be around those dogs, they're just so beautiful. That pack and knowing where they were, where they could have been, and just nothing like really seeing that and feeling that.
Yeah,
and
you feel that energy.
yeah, so here at the Brandon Fouche Rehabilitation Center, you offer a lot of services. You offer rehabilitation, doggy daycare.
Yes.
You do in-home consultations, and since we have a global audience, you
And
do
phone
consultations,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a radio show.
Yes, the
weekly.
Fouche Way radio
Right.
show on latalkradio.com, channel 2. It's called the Fouche Way.
And I know that all this information, including where to find the radio show, can be found on your website,
Yes.
brandonfouche.com.
Yeah.
What a wonderful time to meet with you. I look forward to more discussions. There's so much more to talk about, so much for you to share.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing what you do and saving thousands of dogs' lives, and families' lives have been enhanced by reducing the stress that they've had and being able to have that harmony and that right relationship with their canine companions.
Yeah, that's why it's important we call it the Fouche Way, because it's communicating with dogs in the way that nature intended dogs to process information. That's where the Fouche Way
Absolutely. I'm a fan of the Fouche way.
All right.
Thank you, Brandon.
You're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much.
Thank you very much.